Okay, today we're gonna be making ooey gooey mac and cheese. This is such a great meal. We all ate it as kids, and as adults, it just brings us great comfort. It's the definition of comfort food, and we all love it. It's simple to make and got pretty easy ingredients. First off, we've got to have our prepared bechamel. This is the sauce base. This is one of the mother sauces that we're gonna turn into this ooey gooey, cheesy, yummy. Oh my gosh, this is the best mac and cheese ever. We need 3 cups of that. We've got 5 slices of bread and 3 tablespoons of chilled butter that's going to become our topper. We've got 1 cup of milk, and we're using whole milk. We've got 1.5 teaspoon of ground mustard. We've got 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. That cayenne pepper is going to give it the zing that we all like. And of course, we've got 1 pound of macaroni elbows. Our cheese is the main thing that we're using to flavor this sauce. We've got 2 cups of shredded Monterey Jack. The Monterey Jack is going to give us the ooey gooey cheesiness that we need and is an essential ingredient to this. Then we've got 2 cups of shredded sharp cheddar. That's going to be our flavor profile. That's going to give us the cheesy flavor that we want. The Monterey Jack gives us the ooey gooey, and the sharp cheddar gives us the great flavor. All right, now we're at the stove, we can start cooking our mac and cheese. The first thing we want to do is we want to bring a big stock pot of water to a boil to cook our macaroni elbow. You need a lot of water in comparison to how much pasta there is so that that pasta can float around and cook evenly and not stick together. Once it comes to a boil, I want to add salt. Remember, salt makes food sparkle, and I want my pasta to sparkle. So in order to get it to the right consistency, I've got to add salt to it. And when I taste that water, obviously it's hot water, so don't burn yourself. I want it to taste like the ocean, salt water. So we end up putting quite a bit of salt in. I'm just gonna use kosher salt because that's what we use here in the kitchen, but you can use just regular table salt if you want. Look at that. Yeah, maybe this is a 20-quart stock pot. We've got about, probably about 3 gallons of water in here, and I just added about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of salt. I really want it to kind of have a salty consistency so that this will help my pasta sparkle. We'll bring it to a rolling boil, and then we'll add our pasta, and we're gonna cook it until it's done. All the way. We want it all the way done. A lot of times when we cook pasta, we like to have it what they call al dente, and that is kind of got a firm texture to it. It's almost done. With the mac and cheese, we have to cook it all the way. Otherwise, that pasta is going to absorb moisture from the cheese and turn our mac and cheese grainy, and we're not making grainy mac and cheese. We're making ooey gooey mac and cheese. All right, now we're at a rolling boil. We'll add our pasta to cook. I'm gonna just take a spoon and kind of break it up. By having a lot of water, that water comes around that pasta and really starts to cook it all the way through. We don't get any kind of sticking, and with that salty water, it just makes the pasta sparkle. Okay, our pasta has been boiling for about 10-15 minutes, and now I have tested it and see it is completely cooked. Ooh, hot. Such great flavor. I don't want to overcook it. I don't want to cook it to where it smashes, okay? So there's that fine line from being underdone and overdone. So keep tabs on it, okay? It's looking perfect. So I'm gonna turn off my heat, and I've got my spider, and I can just quickly take this out and put it into my pierced colander. We're not gonna rinse it. We're just gonna drain it and set it aside to be used later in our recipe. We don't want to drain it. rinse it, we don't want to rinse it because it's going to wash away that starch, and that starch is going to help make that ooey gooey cheese sauce stick to it. And that's what we want. Oh yeah. All right, now we're at the stove and we're going to cook our mac and cheese. It's really simple and easy. So what I'm using today is my pot is a beautiful Le Creuset cast iron casserole pan. This thing is the bomb. I love using it. So let's start off with, we've got our prepared bechamel that we made the other day. I've got it, it's been in the fridge, so it's kind of thick, so I'm going to just take my bowl scrape and get all of that out. Get all of that out, because we need to gently heat it. We don't want to burn it on the bottom, and where it's milk-based and thick, it's really easy to do, so you've got to pay attention to your temperature. Once we've got all of that out, now we're going to combine our milk that is going to make it so much easier for us to heat it up and deal with. So I'm just going to take my whip and start to incorporate that milk and thin that bechamel. That bechamel is going to get real thick with that cheese, so the milk will help us. And I've just got it on a medium heat, and all I want to do is heat it up. I just want to heat it up so that when I add my cheeses to it, they melt into it. Real easy. That'll take a few minutes, so we'll let that start to go. All right, now that our bechamel has been heated up, we're ready to start adding our cheeses and our spice. Let's do our spice real quick because it's easy for us to incorporate it. I've got my 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper that's gonna add that zing to it that we want. And then 1½ teaspoons of ground mustard. Those go in. We'll get that mixed. That's gonna help give that sauce a nice brightness to it and add an interesting flavor. All right, now we're gonna look at our cheeses. Here is our sharp cheddar. Let me get this out of the way. Here's our sharp cheddar. 2 cups of shredded sharp cheddar. That's gonna be our flavor. And then the Monterey Jack. The Monterey Jack just works really good at making it nice and gooey and cheesy, and it's got enough moisture in it to really make it behave nicely. That is the key ingredient to making this work. All right, now we'll start to incorporate and melt that cheese. Look at that cheese melting. Wow. Oh my gosh, it's so cheesy. Ooh, some good mac and cheese. This is really the money shot right there. Wow, look at that. I love it. That cheese melts right down. Look at how cheesy it is. Oh, wow, this is gonna be good. Once we get that kind of incorporated and heated up, fully melted, I still see a little bit that needs to melt. With my heavy whip, I can just work it. Nicely done. This is going to be so good. This just takes you back to when you were a little kid, and it's just tasty. Wow, look at how wonderful that looks. Okay, so now I've got that melted down. I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to start to put in my cooked pasta that we cooked. Don't want to make too big a mess. This is where you need a pretty good pot to do this in. Our cast iron Dutch oven here is 5½ quart, and look at how it completely filled it. Completely filled it. And this is essential because we want to heat this up and get this all nice and incorporated and cheesy. We want to leave it on the heat until all of it is just steamy, ooey gooey and nice. Break up all of that and get that all folded in and incorporated. Once we've got this incorporated and we've got the heat on it and it becomes steamy, we can kill the heat and we're going to go right to our casserole pan for the final piece of the puzzle. Now we're gonna make our topper. We've got our 5 slices of white bread and 3 tablespoons of chilled butter. This is gonna go on top of our mac and cheese, and it's gonna take that ooey gooey and give it a nice crispy texture to it. This is real simple to do. We're gonna use a food processor with the S blade in it to kind of cut up all this bread and cut that cold chilled butter into it. One of the things that I like to do is I like to take the crust off. The crust doesn't seem to want to chop up as good as I like it to, so I can just quickly peel this crust off. All right, now I'm gonna put my chilled butter in. If I use chilled butter, it'll help it. Rather than heat it up and melt it and make a greasy topper, that butter cuts into it almost like pie dough and really stays intact. Okay, we'll pulse. We want to get it to a nice chopped up consistency. You just want to pulse it so you don't increase the heat and melt the butter. Looks like we're getting close to the consistency we need. All right, now we've got it to a consistency we like. We can then take it. Oh, not what I wanted to happen. Okay. Now this is the consistency that I'm talking about. All right, now that we've got that cheese all melted nice and within with our macaroni, now we're gonna put it into our casserole dish, and then we'll put our bread topper on it, and it'll go into the oven for our broil. Okay, oh boy. Sometimes you need 2 people to help you with this one. Let's get all the last little bit of ooey gooey into our casserole dish. Oh wow, doesn't that look good? Now I'll just take and kind of even it out. You can do this in a 9 by 13 pan. This one here happens to be a 10 by 15, so it's a little bit bigger and makes it a little bit shallower when we go to eat it. But that's what I've got, and it works really good. Now I'll take my topper, my bread that we pulsed with the butter, and we're just going to spread it evenly on top. This is going to give us a great different texture. You have that ooey gooey wonderfulness of the cheese and the macaroni, and then on top you've got a little bit of crispiness with the breadcrumbs and the butter that's been browned and caramelized. Okay, so I'll just kind of spread that evenly on top, just like that. Kind of get it to cover, just like that. Boom. Now we're going to go into the broiler so that we can brown it on top, and then it's ready for service. Okay, so now we're going to go in under the broiler. I've adjusted it so it's not too high, and I'll go right in like that. We just want to get it browned on top, so you got to stay with it and pay attention. This is where sometimes it can burn on you. You may need to rotate it so that you get a nice even browning on top. Now this is the best part. We've taken our mac and cheese and we've browned that breadcrumbs up on top, and now we're gonna plate it. So I'm just gonna take my turner here. Ooh, doesn't that look so ooey and gooey? And it's got that nice texture with the breadcrumb up on top. And then I'll take a little bit of my fresh parsley. The green is gonna make it pop. Yeah, ooh, I can't wait to try it. All right, now our mac and cheese is done and plated. This is the best part when we get to eat it. Let me see how it turned out. Mmm. So ooey gooey, the nice texture change with the breadcrumbs on top, absolutely fantastic. Making mac and cheese from scratch, Very easy. I can do it over and over. So, simmer on the back burner. Till next time.